Hey, this is journal page 336, lesson 14.3. This is about the Pythagorean theorem. Pythagoras was a Greek mathematician and philosopher who is credited with discovering one of the most famous rules in mathematics. In mathematics, a rule is called a theorem. So the rule that Pythagoras discovered is called the Pythagorean theorem. And I need you to remember that the key idea for this is the sides of a right triangle. They have special names. The legs are the two sides that form the right angle, and the hypotenuse is the side opposite the right angle. So Pythagorean's theorem states that in any right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs is equal to the square of the length of the hypotenuse, which means a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b are the legs that form the right angle, and c is the hypotenuse, or the side opposite the right angle. All right, so looking at number 1, 28 and 21 are the legs. So we would have 28 squared plus 21 squared equals c squared. We don't know what it is yet, but we are going to figure that out. Well, 28 squared is 28 times 28, which is 784, plus 21 times 21, which is 441. And we have to add 784 and 441. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 2, 5 equals c squared. Then you take the square root of each side. The square root of 1,225 is 35. Because 35 times 35 is 1,225. Number 2. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, this time we don't know what a is, so a squared plus, we do know this is 15, so 15 squared equals 17 squared. And a squared plus, well, 15 times 15 is 225. And 17 times 17 is 289. So we subtract 225 from each side. Leaving us with a squared equals 464. So square root of a squared and the square root of 64, a equals 8. Number 3. This time they gave us a. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and a is 4.8 squared plus b squared equals 7.3 squared. Well, 7.3 squared is 53.29. We don't know what b squared is yet, but 48 squared is 23.04. 23.04. We're going to subtract 23.04 from each side. From each side. And that leaves us with b squared on this side and 5.203. And the square root of b squared is b, and the square root of 30.25 is 5.5. turn the page over. Okay. Number 4, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This time, this 16, since this is a rectangle, is the same as this length over here, which is 16, and these little tick marks tell me that these are congruent, which means this is 16. So a little bit of work to realize that that a is 16, so 16 squared. This 63 obviously just goes straight up here, so 63. And we're looking for the hypotenuse. Well, 16 squared is 256. 63 squared is 3969 equals c squared. And when we add these two up, we have 3969 plus 256. 4,225 equals c squared. Take the square root of each side, and the square root of 4,225 is 65. Now, the square of 65, or the square root of 4,225, is not on your chart that we made in class. However, it ends in a 5, so you know that this has to be an end in a 5. 35, 45, 55, 65. You don't have to try very many if you're going to guess and check your way up. Or I guess you can just watch this video and have me do it for you. Here we have a little triangle off to the side here. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find out what this leg is. And then when we know what that leg is, we can look at the big triangle on this side and figure out what the hypotenuse is. But we have to start off just looking at that little triangle there. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we have the hypotenuse 13, so that goes over here, 13 squared. And then one of the legs is 5, so we'll put that right here, 5 squared. And then we're missing this right here. We'll call that a squared. I'll ignore the phone and I will get it later. So now we have a squared plus 25. That's a horrible looking 5, but pretend that's a good looking 5. And 13 squared is 169. Subtract 25 from both sides. A squared equals 144. Square root a equals 12. Well, that's not the answer to our problem. That's just the answer. That's what that leg is right there. So now we know this is 12, 35, and we can find x. So now a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 35 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. Twelve squared is 144. 35 squared is, I don't know, so 35, 15, 17, 15, 9, 10, 1,225. Add on our 144. 1,369 equals c squared. Take the square root of both sides, and c equals 37. That's the answer to this problem. Finally, we're on number 6. I just have this little triangle here. Try to make it into a fancy word problem, but it's just the Pythagorean theorem here, where a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 8 squared plus b squared equals 10 squared. 64 plus b squared equals 100. Subtract 64 from both sides. b squared equals 36. B equals 6 inches. Well, there you go. If you have any questions, please ask in class. Have a wonderful weekend. See you on Monday.